Welcome to Mile High Reefers. I'm Scott Anderson, and I'm going to do a quick impromptu live stream. So while everybody's just waiting to come online, hopefully some people will come online. We'll see. I'll just start talking. So to begin with, I got off work early, and I've got a real job now, which is pretty darn cool. So I'm looking forward to actually having a real job. I'm back to factory work. I'm working for Smucker's. Yes, the jam and jelly company. You guys, I'm sure have heard of them. But yeah, I make Uncrustable sandwiches. So literally, I am a professional peanut butter and jelly sandwich maker now. I know, it's hilarious. I went from Reef tanks to peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But you know what? It's cool. Pays money. It's a good company, great benefits. They should be around for a while. They're new to the Colorado area, so I'm hoping it turns out to be a really cool job. I know a lot of you have been wondering what I've been doing, so I just started that job. You know, I did odd jobs around for a while trying to see what I could do to earn some cash, and I just wasn't able to make enough on my own. So it's time to grow up and get a real job. So I got up early today, and I thought I would just come in here and hang out with you guys and see what's going on. Maybe kill a half hour or an hour. So let's start with some comments. We got Click Clacks Reef, hello. And then we got Mataiso Castro. Oh man, I'm killing your name. I'm so sorry. Mateas Castro, hello. And then we got Pineapple Man Blur, hi, I love the channel. So that's pretty awesome. We got a bunch of people coming in. What's up, Scott, and everyone in chat, hello. If you guys got questions, feel free to put them in. Greetings from Taos. Hello, Taos. You're in such a beautiful area. I love that part of the country. So, yeah. So as far as reef keeping goes, I've got great news to share about my tank. My nitrates are finally going down. That took forever. This has been the most brutal, terrible process. My nitrates have been going like that for months. They finally topped out at 25. Now they're down to 10. We're going the right way. And you know what? I made a video a few weeks ago where I said they were just a tinge below 10 in color. And the reality is that's just the way those test kits work. I guess I could invest in new test kits, but I'm not going to. But anyways, we're going the right direction, and it's really noticeable on the tank. The coral colors are coming back. My slow burn that I thought was going to die is like the most beautiful it's ever been. So I'm really happy that things are going in the right direction. The bio pellets, they've made all the difference. I'm over 3 cups of bio pellets these days. So everything's going well. I'm really happy about that. So let's see, what do we got here? All right, can you talk about how mature and tank needs to be for an anemone? Thanks about, okay, so tank maturity for anemones. Really, there's no reason you couldn't put one in early in a tank. The one I put it in my first rose bubble tip, I put in my tank maybe 3 months in. As long as your tank's stable, as long as your water quality is good, it'll be fine. Stability in the tank itself is what matters, right? If you can keep your water quality good, you keep your temperature good, that matters. But you know what makes more difference, in my opinion, than anything? Getting a good anemone. If you get a wild-caught anemone, they're so much less hardy than a tank-raised anemone. And you know what's better than a tank-raised anemone? A locally raised tank-raised anemone. So I'm lucky to be in Colorado. We've got a local reef store called Animal Attraction, and he has a great source of locally grown rose bubble tip anemones. They're reasonably priced, and they do so well. So it's less about how hard it is to keep an anemone. It's just more about actually keeping your tank stable and making sure that you get a healthy one. I mean, I love bubble tips, but the ones that come in from the wild are so much harder to keep. They're so much less stable than ones that have been in the aquarium for a while. So if you can get one from a friend, if you can get one from a local company, it's a much better way to go. And of course, there are easier and there are harder anemones. Rose bubble tips are easy. Green bubble tips are easy. Carpet anemones, they'll eat your fish, but they're super easy. I love carpets. They ship really well. And in fact, a carpet is one that you're probably going to have to get as a wild anemone, but I wouldn't be afraid of a carpet because they just do so well. So really, anemones are fantastic, but stick with the easier ones. Even the little flower anemones, the rock anemones, those are super easy. Those are fantastic. Just stick with easy stuff. You'll make your life easier. The little sand tube anemones, those guys are tough. I mean, they're not impossible to keep. They're just harder. So for your first anemones, stick with easy ones. All right. Hi from Western Australia, Luke Royseth. Thank you from Western Australia. That is so cool. Reef Keeper, how do you bring them down carbon dosing? I assume you're talking about my nitrates. So I do everything completely different than what people tell me to do. Basically, I ran bio pellets for years. The reason my tank crashed is because I took the bio pellets off. So what I did was I put the bio pellets back in slowly. I've had problems with overdosing the tank in the past with too many bio pellets. I put them in slowly. I let it build up. I didn't add bacteria. You can buy some starter bacteria, but it's not 100% necessary. The reality is the bacteria is already in your tank. Bacteria grows at an exponential rate. So if you don't want to spend the money on it, it's not that big of a deal. You might slow down the rate that it starts to take your nitrates down, but it really won't be by much because the bacteria is already there. So really, it's been a super long-term process, which has been frustrating. On my big tank, if I had a practical way to do a big water change, I would have done that to help get those nitrates down a little more artificially or naturally, depending on which way you look at it. But that would have been a good way to get it down. But now the bio pellets are really doing their job. Unfortunately, it's a biological system, so it takes time. Let's see, what do we got next? I'm in Loveland and just tested my water and almost ready to put frags in. Oh, that's so awesome. So you're hoping for this weekend. I hope you get some frags. Loveland, I love our local stores. Fish Crew is always cool. Animal Attractions up in Greeley's cool. If you're willing to make the trip down to Denver, there's some amazing stores. So yeah, you got lots of good stuff. Let's see. I put a BTA in my 10-gallon tank 3 months ago. Yep, BTAs are fantastic. Let's see what else we got. Thanks. I bought an $80 anemone, and my captive bred clowns are being hosted by a $5 green, mushroom. Okay, clownfish and hosting anemones is a completely different story. I hate to say it, your wild-caught clowns are probably more likely to go directly to the anemone. But my clowns have hosted anemones before, but at the same time, I've had anemones in the tank and they'd rather host a clam or a toadstool or a frog smock. It seems to be like more positioning in the tank where they want to be. I suspect if there was a predator around, they'd be a lot more worried about those stinging cells. But given that we do a good job in our reef tanks, there's nothing to eat those clownfish. They don't seem to care as much, especially the tank raised ones. But it is hilarious that it goes that way. That shelf behind you is pretty sweet. Thank you. I am noticing my kid left his pants on the floor, which is pretty hilarious. Yeah, I got a bunch of cool stuff back there. Got some camera gear, got all kinds of fun stuff. I love it. Love of koi orchids and gardening. Hi from the UK. Regular here and Reef Builders. Oh, hell yes. Thank you, UK. Yeah, Jake with Reef Builders is always fantastic. Where in Colorado do you live? I live up in Greeley, and I'm working in Longmont now. So driving right by Loveland every day. I thought anemones host clownfish. Yes, it's really easy to say it backwards. The anemone is the host and the clownfish lives within it. I probably said it backwards. Okay, Mr. Pleco, help. Wyoming clown has swimming bladder. I've fed peas and turned down flow, but still getting worse. Oh man, this is something I hate to tell you. I am going to have to tell you to look it up online. I've never had to deal with swim bladder issues, but from what I know of, it is pretty bad. So, oh man, I hope he gets better. It's really hard to see one of your fish sick and having problems. I mean, oh, it's rough. Okay, so Dr. Welsh Magic, I love your name. Hello from Colorado to the UK. That is so awesome. Do you play Minecraft? I do not, but Ian does. Steve Wilson, I have a bare bottom tank, 6 months in, big fungia or big fuge and 0 nitrates and phosphates, but have turf algae growing. Thoughts? Time to blackout DT. So algae early on is very likely. I hate to say it. You go through almost an algae cycle when you set up your tank. If there's any nitrates in your rock, even dry rock, especially that cured stuff. I got Pucani rock when I brought it in. It was so dirty. I had to cure the crap out of it. It's really normal for your tank to actually go through an algae cycle. If you are low on nitrates and low on phosphates, I would up the cleanup crew and see if you can do it. If you don't have a lot of coral in your tank, you can black it out. Personally, I am not a blackout fan. I'm a fan of trying to figure out how to solve the problem. One thing I will say, though, is like on my 24-gallon, after I've exhausted all sources, I am willing to hit a tank with fluconazole. It actually works pretty good, especially when your phosphates and nitrates are low. It's not a bad way to go, in my opinion. But first, you really need to address root cause, try to figure out why your algae is growing. My guess is you've got some nitrates or phosphates locked away in the rock itself, and that's what it's feeding on. And it'll probably burn itself out. So if you're able to get some more tangs, if you were able to get, I think it was kind of small, but if you were able to get some sort of grazer in there like snails, tangs, or something like that to actually eat that algae, that's a good way to go. Hermit crabs are good. But yeah, the more you can do in that realm, the better off you're going to be. Good evening. Just bought a biopellet reactor. What's the best biopellet and what dose to start for a 44-gallon Reds 170? So I haven't tried all the biopellets out there. You're going to see mixed reviews on everything. I've been running the bulk Reef supply ones for years. They do the job. I would say, though, if you're starting off, start small. 45-gallon, I would do like half a cup. Seriously, maybe a quarter of a cup. If you don't have a lot of nitrates in your tank and you're just trying to keep things set, less is more when it comes to biopellets. You're basically putting sugar in the water or sugar in there to give the bacteria that live on the biopellets something to feed on, and then they get knocked off and taken out with the skimmer, right? Or at least that's the theory behind it. I'm not sure how well that's actually been studied at this point. But yeah, if you don't have any problems in your tank and you're bringing biopellets on, bring it on real slowly. Less is more. I mean, really, half a cup, quarter of a cup, keep it tumbling. You're good to go. I would put enough in that you can get a good tumble with it and go with that and see how things go. If you're not getting nitrates, you're good to go. What's the best way to start a zoa garden? So best way to start a zoa garden is get a piece of bare rock. You probably already have it in your tank. And then pick out cool zoas you like. Super easy, right? You just go to like a Reef stock or a store and you buy your zoas and you just glue them on the rock, space them out. and they just start growing into each other. And it's real hard to predict what they're going to do, right? Some will grow fast, some will grow slow, and you're not going to be able to control it. You're just going to kind of put what you want where you want and see what happens. As long as your water quality is good, they're going to grow well. Zoas are fantastic. They're fun. Zoa gardens are so easy to start. Yeah, just pick a little rock, glue a bunch on there. If you're brand new and you want to try stuff, you can get Zoas so cheap. I mean, Zoas are like the cheapest coral out there. So yeah, they're great. Let's see what we got next. I have a clownfish named Squid. I love that. Let's see. Tuxedo urchins and torch snails are good for algae. Absolutely love the tuxedos. If you want to save a little money, there's those little white ones. Pretty much the same thing as a tuxedo, but white, but about a third the cost. Let's see. What else do we got? Just got in from LFS, trading in a bunch of frog spawn for credit. That's a smart move. Right now, frog spawn's tough to get from the wild, so it's in demand. So frog spawn, if you're growing it, sell it. People love it. It's in huge demands right now. You guys are lucky to have bulk reef supply. We are, in fact, we're so lucky in the U.S. We have so many good ones. I mean, I use the bulk reef supply pellets, but I buy lots of stuff from Marine Depot. We've got so many good companies. We got so many good manufacturers in the U.S. We've got it good. Although I think the Aussies might have it better when it comes to Australian coral than we do. I keep seeing pictures coming out of Australia, and I'm so jealous. Let's see. I have 3 Linardi wrasse fish because I live in Western Australia. Yeah, they're pretty awesome. I ran biopellets for a while on my 58-gallon, worked okay, converted to a refugium, and it works much better for me. That's fantastic. I had a massive bio load. My refugium with the crappy lighting I was using, I had a refugium and I had an algae reactor. It wasn't enough for my system, but my system's a little different. I was running way too many fish, and I've got quite a bit in the way of frog tanks and everything. It wasn't enough. I've got to run biopellets at this point. Let's see. Thank you so much. I have a UV sterilizer. Should I have to stop with biopellet reactors? UV sterilizers should not do anything to your biopellet reactor. You should be golden. UV sterilizers are fantastic. Dunkin's Rastas, Fruit Loops are my staple. Beautiful zoas. Love all of those. And if you're growing in your tank, they're money makers. People love them. Evening Bud, what made you choose to do the basement sump? Was it due to the space? It was less due to the space and more due to the convenience. I'm able to put everything downstairs. I've got tons of room to work. I do have a lot more space, but I don't have to bend down. I don't have to like crawl into things. Everything's right in front of me. It's easy to work with, and everything's got a floor drain to it. I can go in there. I can make a massive mess. My wife never sees it. She never knows about it, and it's beautiful. I don't get in trouble this way. It makes all the difference for me. And when I spill water, it just goes down the drain. It's fantastic. I can only buy livestock out of the credit, but it saves me $100. Heck yes. Yeah, I mean, turning stuff in for credit's fantastic. I mean, why not? I love that way of doing stuff. We all need to diversify. Ever going to get a harlequin tusk? Probably not. At this point, I'm going to do less fish, and I'm going less risky on my fish. I mean, reef safe with caution. Now, I'm a peaceful fish guy at this point. You never know. I mean, if I win Powerball, all bets are off. But at this point, probably not. What do you think of orbit lighting for coral? I haven't dealt with any of the newer orbit lights. The old ones did a really good job. I've seen several reef tanks that ran orbit lights that were amazing. So, I mean, if they're as good as they used to be, I think for coral growth, they're awesome. The only thing I've heard is that they did lose controllability when they've gotten old, but those are older models, and I would say the same thing about my old Giesman Teslas. Let's see. We have the best coral in Australia. Yes, you do. I'm so jealous of some of the stuff I'm seeing coming out of there right now. Reefing with O, saw your stuff for the sale. What did you do to the cylinder tank? It was scratched to hell, LOL. I don't know. I'm not sure what you're talking about. That probably wasn't me. Cylinder tank. I don't think that was me. How is the tank after removing the pallies? How is the other livestock? Perfect. It's not a problem. So polytoxins are something we have to worry about. I mean, you got to protect yourself, right? I mean, people mention face masks or a face shield would be good. The reality is, when I cut a big rock of zoas, I mean, I wear a respirator. I mean, I don't screw around with this stuff. I wear a respirator, goggles, the arm stuff. But really, as far as in tank, as long as you're on the carbon, I've never had a problem with that. The only real problems I've had with polytoxins is more it's affected me. But the tank itself is perfect. I just got a few bare spots where I'm waiting for zoas to come back, but everything's great. Let's see. Can clownfish and damsels get along? Absolutely, they can. Clownfish are actually a type of damsel. I've got some sapphire damsels in my tank. I've got a couple other little damsels. Damsels are so overrated for being mean. There's so many nice damsels out there. Those little sapphires are nice. The little blue and yellow ones, they're nice. I mean, especially in a bigger tank. You put them in a smaller tank, it might be a different story. But in a big tank where you got big fish, damsels, in my experience, aren't that big of a deal. I know a lot of people have had problems with them in small tanks, and I guess people even have them in big tanks. But the reality is, in my tank, the meanest fish are the clowns. They're the ones that bite me. Let's see. Do you think 3 fish is too much for a 10-gallon? My nitrates and phosphates are nearly undetectable. The answer is no if you get little fish. So get little ones. Absolutely. I love small fish. Can I put a pulsing xenia in my tank? Nitrite and nitrates are on the downward. I'd try one. They're inexpensive, and xenia are one of those corals that may actually do better in dirtier water, believe it or not. And I cannot even begin to predict when zoas are going to live and when they're not. I've had them not survive, and then I've had them grow to plague proportions. I've had the growth just drop off and then grow up. I do not personally understand what makes xenias grow fast. So, I mean, I hope someday people will really get a handle on this, but there is some sort of condition that really makes xenias explode, and I just personally don't know what that is. Clownfish or damsels. Thanks. See you at Magna. I wish I was going to Magna. I have to work this year. Long story short, with the change in career, Magna is off the table. What happened to the job in reefing? I had to give that up. Now I'm working in a factory. It's all about money, right? You got to earn, and you got to do what it takes to provide for the family. So, yeah, I mean, I wasn't able to make the Aquametic thing work. I tried some side jobs, and, you know, local stores, they didn't pay much more than minimum wage. And I mean, I got a wife and a kid and a house and cars and everything else. I mean, and besides, I need to pay for lots of coral for my reef tank and get that thing back up in shape. So I've got to earn. It's about making money sometimes. I hate to say it. It's horrible. I wish I could play with coral all day, but I personally was not able to make that happen. It didn't look bad with water in it. Not sure what that meant. I'm sure I missed something. Let's see, that guy's going to bed. So good night. Love of koi and orchids. You are in the UK, so it probably is getting late. Reef Keeper. Oh, are you getting any Billy Pipe stuff? He has some nice corals in the tank. I'm going to guess he's talking to somebody else. I don't have an LFS, and there is almost no one in my area in the hobby. How do I get rid of my overgrowth? I hate to throw it away. It's hard. You could list it on Craigslist, or I mean, you could try selling on eBay. A lot of people sell on eBay and actually do fairly well. So if you're interested in shipping coral and you have that much overgrowth, that might be an easy way. I mean, I don't know what your area is, but it might not be a bad way to go. Doctor of Welsh Magic, set up another tank. At this point, 2 tanks is too many. I got to get the ones I have the way I want. Then maybe someday we'll set up another one. But as of right now, I got to get the ones I have the way I want them. That 210 has been taking so much time. I've been putting like 3 or 4 hours every Saturday into that tank trying to get it back to where I want it. And it's a ton of work to just clean and take care of the algae. Honestly, when it was rolling like it was supposed to with the bio pellets and everything, it was like 10 minutes a day, maybe an hour on the weekend. Now it's 3 or 4 hours on the weekend, and I never feel like I accomplished enough. One of these days, it'll be back to where it's supposed to be. Andrew didn't kind of touch on your situation, but post on Facebook. Yes, to get rid of coral, posting on Facebook's a great idea. And in fact, meeting people on Facebook is good. Lots of Facebook groups out there. Acro breeders. Hey, Scott and fellow reefers. Hello, acro breeders. You'll learn I'm completely and utterly dyslexic. T-Rex Genius. What kind of filter do you use for your anemones? So for anemones, I don't use any special filters. I mean, if you look at my videos, you can pretty well see what I have for my 210-gallon reef. It's a pretty elaborate system, but main filtration is at this point is skimmer, biopellets, calcium reactor. I wouldn't really call a filter, and not really necessary unless you're growing a lot of stonies, and probably not a big deal for anemones. Anemones are not as hard as people act like, and honestly, if you can find good tank raised ones that are healthy, go that route, and they're so much easier than people think they are. I love anemones, and they're really not that bad. 12:17 a.m. in the UK. Wow, you guys are late. I'm so happy that you're joining the show, Doctor of Welsh Magic. Doctor of Welsh Magic, not you, Scott. Andrew, okay, perfect. 7:20 a.m. in Washington, WA. I don't know. It's not that. Andrew Zimmerman. No one in this area. I've been in the hobby for 14 years and only met one person. I'm in Montana. Yeah, Montana does get a little rural. I've never been up there, but I hear the population's fairly small. But probably with all that oil and gas stuff up there, it's going to be growing fast. So you never know. So, anyways, I guess there's a good half hour we've put in. I just kind of want to come and hang out. So I think I'm going to let you guys go, and I will see you guys on the next one. Basically, for these live streams, they're just kind of when I get around to it. Here's a question I can answer. Can calcium get out of proportion with calc? For example, DKH is steady, but calcium creeps up. Absolutely, and you'll see this more often when people are dosing a 2-part solution. I've seen it just get crazy out of whack, like DKH of 8 and calcium like 600. It can get crazy. I've seen people's tanks crash because of this. So yeah, it's kind of a problem. Do you like Polyfilter? I'm going to have to say that is a product I've never used. I probably should look into it. I hear a lot of good things from a lot of people on it. Andrew Zimmerman, you've been in the hobby as long as I've been alive. Well, thank you. I feel a little old, but yeah, I've been doing this for quite a long time. Polyfilter has made your tank really clear. That's awesome. Yeah, it's something I'm interested in. I just got to learn more about it. Well, anyways, guys, I think I am going to let you guys go. It's about dinner time here in Colorado, so I think I'm going to go find some food. So thanks for watching this episode of Mile High Reefers. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.